that we need the good without God. And it seems to me to be a very efficient, taking on that little bit of philosophy seems to do a lot of work. You know, there's much more complex belief systems that people are asked to take on board that do a lot less work, it seems to me, than this one. Just taking on this simple idea that human well-being and human suffering matters more than anything else seems to do a lot of work, from my point of view. Okay, so that concludes my prepared remarks. So, let me tell you what I have in mind for discussion. So what I thought we might do is sort of talk for a minute about just what the big questions are, or what the big topics are that people want to talk about. And if we can come up with 3 or 4 of those, then we would split into 3 or 4 groups and talk about those for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, or what we want to do. And then we could come back, and each group could sort of designate a spokesperson to tell us what you talked about, and then we could talk about what we want to talk about across the ideas. Does that sound like a good idea to everybody? Yes?
May I interject something? I'm late in coming, and I wasn't aware of your presentation. But I was very, very disappointed in learning that the library has discontinued its subscription to the Humanist. And
I wasn't aware of that.
I'm disappointed. Yes, I think it's true.
Maybe we can check on that.
Clarification?
Yeah, please.
In my mind, I define moral and ethical as 2 different definitions. Mm-hmm. So I wonder, because sometimes people collapse them or kind of mean the same interchangeably. Mm-hmm. And for me, I don't. Moral is one thing, ethical is a different. So I was wondering, when you say moral teamwork, are you equating it as same as ethical, or is that separate and ethical?
Let's see. Moral and ethical occupy distinct nodes in my mind. I am talking about morality here. And I haven't thought too much about where this intersects with ethics. So I don't know if I'll have much to say about that. But.
Because in the definition of humanism, the word is ethical, not moral.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And I call myself more as an ethical being rather than moral being, myself.
Okay. Is there, we don't have a whiteboard or a flip chart or anything. Josh, could you be the scribe?
Yes.
Could you make an attempt to write down sort of, I'll let you figure out how you're going to do that.
Anything involving my...
proposed subgroup topics. Yes. Okay. So
that's exactly what I was going to talk about.
Okay, so that's a proposed subgroup, is sort of the ethics-moral distinction and how that fits into what we're talking about. Okay, other ideas that people want to talk about? So let's just pretend for a minute that we're not doing the subgroup thing. What do you want to talk about?
I think environmentalism is kind of the most important thing, because it's sort of the basis of all the problems that we have.
Okay.
Do you want me to take notes?
So, okay, so that's a second proposed subtopic, is environmentalism. Yes, please.
I don't know if this would be considered a subtopic, but I know that the issue that I have with definitions, it's not how I define myself, it's how, for lack of a better name, that the others define me. Mm-hmm. You know, we're the nuns, so to say, and the others are the others. And I don't have any problem with who I am and how I define myself. My problem is how they define me, what they decide I am, and that's the wall I feel like I'm up against all the time.
So would you like to talk with some people about, like, how do we interact with believers?
Yeah, I guess, because I consider myself all of those things, humanist, atheist.
Mm-hmm.
There's semantics, I know it's more nuanced than that, but the way I see it sometimes is semantics, because I feel like I'm humanist as well as an atheist, because I do have some militant ideas about in my atheism, although I don't like that word, but it's not getting to them, to the others. The message is not getting to the others.
So would it be right to paraphrase your topic is like, how do we deal with believers?
Yeah.
Is that a decent paraphrase?
That's just
Okay. Here and here.
I was just gonna say, you could call that branding. That's what they, I mean, this isn't the Bay Area after all.
well, we need to take the branding out of our
That's kind of branding.
hands. Somehow.
Yeah, who creates the brand, the marketer or the consumer?
Well, related to that is a topic that I'm really concerned with is the anti-science bias that we're seeing a lot. The innumeracy and anti-rationalism. How do you even have a conversation with someone if they're seeing the world through a very rigid dogmatic lens, and it just doesn't